¿Ya descansó?
Ya lo probaron que funciona.
Sí, sí,
Todo
ya descansó bien.
funciona.
¿Ah? ¿Ya viene bien descansada?
Sí.
Va, ok.
9.
Ah, sí.
No, 6 sí, dormí.
Hello. Hello. Good morning. Buenos dias, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to welcome you at the panel of the Interregional Post-Custom Forum dedicated to constant change and recent findings on regional and international trade. It's also my pleasure to be here in El Salvador, and I really appreciate the way we were received and welcomed by the El Salvadorian administration. My name is Manuel da Costa Cabral. I am an expert at the International Affairs Department of ANACOM, the Portuguese communication regulator. Today I'm here on behalf of PRAP's Consultative and Executive Council Chairwoman, who could not be here today. It is my honor to moderate this important session and discussion. So we are living in a time of continuous and profound transformation in regional and international trade. Supply chains are becoming increasingly complex. Digitalization is accelerating processes and reshaping business models, while geopolitical, regulatory, technological, and environmental challenges continue to demand stronger coordination amongst postal operators, custom authorities, international organizations, and the private sector. In this evolving environment, dialogue and cooperation are more important than ever. Beyond simply adapting to change, we are called upon to understand it, anticipate it, and to turn it into opportunities, to promote greater efficiency, security, transparency, and inclusiveness in global trade. During this session, we will have the opportunity to hear a range of complementary perspectives on evolving dynamics of regional and international trade. We will begin with a global perspective from Javier Garcia, Customs Facilitation and Standardization Standards, UPU, who will share recent findings on trends in the parcel market and work being carried out in UPU WCO Contact Committee to address emerging challenges. We will hear then the regional perspective from David Gomez, focusing on where the postal market is headed and the implications for the operational and commercial management of freight shipments. We will also benefit from the operational experience of José Marcos Gomes, who will present strategies for improving network competitiveness from an end-to-end perspective, as well as the perspective of customs, with Ms. Mercedes Alfaro addressing the critical issues of new technologies and AI to modernize customs. Together, these perspectives will provide us with a comprehensive overview of the challenges and opportunities shaping the future of the postal, logistics, and trade ecosystem. I would like to thank our panelists and participants for being with us today and contributing to this important discussion. And please do so by engaging in the discussion and especially in the Q&A part, by sharing comments and raising questions following presentations and the panel discussions. So without further delay, it's my pleasure to officially open this panel. Introduce Mr. Javier Garcia, Program Manager of UPU Customs Facilitation and Standards Program. Please, I would like to invite you to take the floor and present us your remarks on the most recent market trends and how UPU is approaching them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to give my presentation in English, but of course, more than happy to follow up with questions in Spanish, will facilitate the debate also with our participants today. So let's see if I manage to, oh, excellent. The presentation is working, so maybe I'll start then. So good morning, distinguished delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here today on behalf of the Universal Postal Union. And I'm going to be talking about two very closely connected topics. On one side, these recent developments and recent trends in electronic advanced data, or EAD, and UPU standards and regulation changes, and how the postal and customs communities are responding rapidly to these trends through cooperation at the national level, but also through the WCO UPU Contact Committee. As you know, and it was just introduced, the international postal environment is changing faster than ever before. New customs requirements, evolving security expectations, and the growth of cross-border e-commerce are fundamentally changing how international mail moves around the world. The objective of today's presentation is therefore to provide an overview of these developments and explain how the UPU is supporting its members through this transition. So first, I will start with a few words about the UPU, about the Universal Postal Union, that most of you know pretty well, but just as a reminder. So it is a specialized United Nations agency founded in 1874 with 192 member countries. Something very important is that the acts of the UPU, so the UPU Convention and its regulations establish the rules governing international postal exchanges through these acts. And the UPU as an organization also serves as a primary forum for cooperation in the postal sector at the global level to develop international products and services, provide technical assistance, support sustainable development, facilitate international trade, and of course promote innovation and interoperability across the global network through the standards and other programs. So now moving on to the recent trends. So since, I guess, probably July last year, but maybe we should mention also that it's a trend that slowly started a while back. For instance, when the European Commission removed the VAT threshold and all goods coming into the European Union countries became subject to VAT. But now what we are seeing is across jurisdictions, more and more countries are lowering or removing previous limits on customs duty, on taxes. And this is, of course, introducing some important changes for all the stakeholders involved in the postal supply chain. So what we can see is that as a result, customs compliance is becoming increasingly complex. Unfortunately, it's less harmonized, so there are differences across member countries. And as an origin, you have to gather information and become more aware about what the requirements are at the destination. This is making the postal service, let's say, more difficult in a way. These regulatory changes are creating challenges across many areas, but we would like to focus on three main aspects. So on one side we have market access. So what we can see is that so everyone is experiencing a cost increase. So the designated postal operator at origin, its customers, stakeholders involved in the postal supply chain. And of course, this is reducing the attractiveness of low-value international mail items because it's becoming harder to compete with alternatives. The second aspect is related to operations, as we see stricter customs control measures and simplified procedures being reduced. What we can see is that postal operators of the post to increase the data quality and accuracy. It's a significant change and many challenges that need to be met. So here we wanted to show some of the pillars that we see to keep international mail moving. So on one side, from the UPU, we're working in close cooperation with authorities from the US, from the European Commission, from different member countries to understand the new rules and ensure complete understanding across the stakeholders. And here is where the WCO-UPU Contact Committee plays a crucial role as a forum for cooperation and for mutual understanding. Now, another important pillar is the technology part, the IT tools and solutions that are going to enable the players, the stakeholders of the supply chain to comply with these new requirements. So when we focus on the duties part, to be able to have systems that calculate, collect, and remit duties to destination. So we see that more than 70 designated operators are now using delivered duty paid solutions. And what's most important is that this is enabling customs compliance and it's enabling the mail to keep moving. And then last but not least, it's also really important to coordinate these elements with the carriers, because the carriers are also facing, to a certain extent, the regulatory change. So coordination with the carriers and ensuring that all parties can comply with these requirements is part of the keys to tackling these changes. So now moving on to cooperation with customs at the WCO level, but also with UNCTAD. This is really important, the work that the UPU is conducting with the UN Trade and Development on the Asecura CDS interface in several member countries. So at the moment, there's an upgrade project in Moldova, there's an implementation project in Trinidad and Tobago, Turkmenistan, Bosnia, Niue, to facilitate a pre-arrival risk assessment. So this is both a regulatory requirement that being imported into those countries are in compliance with the requirements, but it's also important from an efficiency perspective, which is to keep the mail items moving through the supply chain. So now, focusing a bit more on the cooperation with the WCO, the Contact Committee was established in 1965. It's one of the oldest contact committees with customs. And we recently renewed our cooperation agreement between the WCO and the UPU in 2023 to support deeper cooperation and harness opportunities in e-commerce and security. So we do many things together as well, beyond providing the forum of the contact committee. So joint technical assistance in the forms of capacity building and workshops that we do together, but also in terms of guidelines. So we develop guidelines such as the electronic advanced data and data quality guidelines that were published last year to help member countries and their designated operators comply with the requirements. Also, the guidelines to implement a memorandum of understanding at the national level, which are currently under review, and we expect to present them at this year's WCO-UPU Contact Committee. Acknowledging a new reality. We live in a different world than where we lived the first time these guidelines were released. The ways of cooperating have evolved. The cooperation structures need to reflect this, and the different aspects that need to be taken into account are also in constant evolution. Another important element is standards. So with the WCO, we developed the joint messaging standards, CAS item, CAS RSP, and it's really important to have this focus on harmonization and standardization in the sense of enabling transformation in a way that all parties can benefit from standard solutions, from ways that are, let's say, expected and controllable, in a sense that if you know what the standard is, you know what you need to implement. If you have 192 different standards, then it's a much more complex reality. So this is why, in terms of standardization, the UPU remains a core pillar of international cooperation to align processes, strengthen compliance, and ensure interoperability across the different partners. Thank you very much. With this, I have concluded my presentation, and I'm looking forward to the later part of the session with the questions and answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcia, for this insightful presentation and for providing us with a valuable global overview of the latest market trends and as well as the important work that is being carried out by UPU, the WCO framework. And so thank you for that presentation. So building on this global perspective, we will now move to regional dimension of these developments. It is therefore my pleasure to invite Mr. David Gomes, co-chair of the POASP Business Development Committee representing Spain, to share his views and where the postal market is heading and expected operational and commercial impact. Please, Mr. Gomes, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. No necesito. Yo mi ponencia, a diferencia de Javier, la voy a dar en castellano. En primer lugar, Muchísimas gracias por invitarme a este foro. Para mí es un grandísimo honor. Nunca he estado delante de un auditorio con la calidad de este ni tan grande. Es mi primera vez. Trataré de explicarlo lo mejor posible y centrarlo en breves y profundas ideas. Desde que llegué aquí el lunes, ayer mismo en la inauguración de este foro, Claire hablaba de cambios, el presidente Josué hablaba también de cambios, Javier hablaba de cambios también. En fin, yo quiero iniciar la ponencia con una idea muy sencilla, pero que enmarca un poco todo lo que quiero explicar a continuación. El cambio no es una etapa en nuestro proceso, no es una etapa. Es la constante con la que tenemos que trabajar día a día ahora mismo los operadores postales. En nuestro sector este cambio se está acelerando de una forma muy evidente. No solo por el incremento de la paquetería que tenemos, que son incrementos brutales en porcentajes y el número neto de envíos, sino también en que nuestro producto tradicional está teniendo una gran caída. En Europa se está hablando de 5% anuales, incluso en algunos países de un 10% según algunos datos de IPC. Esto nos sitúa ante una nueva realidad. Esta realidad nos trae mayor volumen de paquetería, una mayor complejidad operativa y, en consecuencia, todo esto nos reduce el margen. Y, por lo tanto, tenemos que transformarnos en un modelo,